Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. 3 days since he killed a poor fisherwoman, Mihir Shah, son of Shinde Sena leader, has been arrested. He was picked up from Virar in Mumbai's suburb. Despite the arrest now, the family is skeptical of justice. Remember, the Shinde Sena leader who was arrested for non-cooperation with the probe was released on the same day.
तीन दिन बाद आज मिहिर शाह को अरेस्ट किया गया है विरार से। क्या लग रहा है अब आगे की क्या कार्रवाई की जाएगी?
3 दिन के बाद अरेस्ट कर रहा है, तो 3 दिन पहले वो कहाँ था, क्यों गायब हो गया था, कैसे गायब हो गया था? अगर वो अल्कोहलिक नहीं है ना तो वो गायब क्यों हो गया? उसने कुछ नशा नहीं किया तो वो गायब क्यों हो गया? अभी 3 दिन के बाद कैसे मिला? अपने आप हो गया कि उसको अरेस्ट किया? वो उसको अरेस्ट नहीं किया है, वो खुद अरेस्ट हो गया है। अभी हमको सब मालूम है, ये सब नेते लोगों की चाल है। आता करणार काय आम्ही सांगा ना, हम लोग क्या करेगा? अभी वो कोर्ट में 20 आदमी रखेगा, 20 वकील रखेगा और अलग अलग हमसे सवाल पूछेगा, हमको रुलाएगा। अभी हम लोग क्या कर सकते बताओ?
पिता को उनके बेल मिल गई और इसी के साथ
वही तो है ना। अभी वो नहीं मिला तो पिताजी को कैसे बेल मिली? हाँ, पहले ही दिन अगर उसको बेल मिल गई, लड़का नहीं मिल रहा और बेल पहले मिलता है, ये कैसे
मांग रही है?
मेरी यही मांग है कि उसको फांसी होना मांगता है बस।
एज अ डॉटर यू हैव बीन विद योर मदर, आपको क्या लग रहा है, क्या होना चाहिए इस मौके में?
He should get the same punishment. He's a murderer. He's a murderer. He's a murderer. And you know what punishment should give to murderer. Every people knows. He should get the same punishment as mother got.
3 दिन तक
really in bad pain. Actually, you can't even imagine.
Let's also listen to some political reactions that have come in.
क्या बार को सील करके क्या है? जो आदमी है जिसने ठोका है, आप बार वालों को क्यों तकलीफ देते हैं? बेहिसाब दारू पीने वाला ये लड़का एक औरत के मौत के लिए जिम्मेदार है, उसको कुछ कानूनन सजा दो ना। बार वाला बंद करके, बार वाले ने क्या जबरदस्ती उसके मुंह में डाली क्या दारू?
हम देख रहे हैं कि अभी हमें ज्यादा आके ये जो काम चल रहा है ये सही नहीं है और इसीलिए हमने मांग की है कि 103 और 302 का गुना लागू किया जाए। और हमने और मांग की है कि इसका सीसीटीवी फुटेज, जिसका अधिकार प्रदीप नागपा जी का है, उनको सीसीटीवी फुटेज जल्द से जल्द मिलने का काम हो। और इस केस में जैसा हम कह रहे हैं कि पूरी तरह से जो पूरा लापरवाही हुई है, इसमें कोई राष्ट्रीय हस्तक्षेप तो नहीं था, इसकी भी पूरी तरह से जांच हो।
Well, the excise department has in fact sealed this pub, but that is for due to certain irregularities that the pub was sealed. But as far as investigations are concerned, just a while ago we had Worli police officials, Mumbai police officials here at the spot. They just left. In fact, they were talking to several of the employees here, the management here, as well as the patrons who are inside, in order to understand the sequence of events that night. Because at this point, what is imperative for police is to establish the sequence of events, establish how drunk he was, whether he was drunk, what alcohol did he consume and so on, because there is a possibility that alcohol level may not be detected 3 days after the incident. He has been arrested 3 days after the incident, therefore the blood alcohol level may not be positive for the police officials. So therefore they will have to depend on CCTV footage perhaps in the pub, which they are trying to gather. Also eyewitness accounts from patrons as well as from the employees here. Besides that, what they will have to prove is also the fact that he was behind the steering wheel. Of course, there were efforts done by the father of the accused to convince driver to take blame for the incident, which backfired, which is why the father got arrested. The driver also arrested for sort of aiding and abetting this crime. But there were efforts done to cover up, which is why it becomes imperative for the police to sort of establish the sequence of events, to get evidence as much as possible to confirm that he was indeed drunk. Whether he was drunk or not is something that is a matter of investigation. But as per witness accounts, yes, he was drunk. And also to sort of get those CCTV image and details as far as him being behind the steering wheel is concerned, which was something that was produced before the court yesterday. He will be produced before the court. Mihir will be produced before the court tomorrow, and the maximum remand of him will be sought.
The Supreme Court will hear a public interest litigation on Wednesday demanding appointment of an expert committee under the supervision of a retired apex court judge to investigate the Hathras stampede incident that claimed 121 lives on July 2nd. Ashish Bhargav has more details.
The petitioner lawyer Vishal Tiwari mentioned it before Chief Justice of India, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, and she sought urgent early hearing in this matter. So today morning, CBI assured him the matter, he has seen the petition and have listed it also. So now list has been come out. The registry has listed this matter for July 12th, and CBI himself will hear this matter. And let's see what will be the bench headed by the CBI will consider, as the petitioner is seeking appointment of 5 members expert committee under the supervision of retired Supreme Court judge to inquire into the stampede. Also, petitioner seeks direct committee in interest of public safety to suggest and frame guidelines, safety measures to avoid such incidents in future. Petitioner also wants to direct state to file periodic probe status report in Supreme Court, and also to initiate legal actions against the persons, authorities and officials for their negligent conduct. So it will be very interesting to see whether Supreme Court will interfere in this matter, because already UP government has appointed a judicial panel to probe this, and they have filed a report also to the government. So the 12th, July 12th will be the important day when Supreme Court will take this matter and decide whether Supreme Court will take this further or will deny, will refuse to interfere.
In fact, 6 Uttar Pradesh officials were suspended after the SIT's preliminary report in the Hathras stampede case laid the blame for the tragedy squarely on the organizers. The SIT said that the organizers, local authorities and police did not take the event seriously and failed to make necessary arrangements. Remember, amid all this, the police are yet to question the self-styled godman Bhole Baba, for whom the satsang was organized.
No adequate crowd control arrangements by organizers and inaction by the local administration. These are some of the reasons listed by a special investigation team set up by the Yogi Adityanath government to probe the Hathras satsang stampede that took 121 lives, mostly women and children. After the SIT report, the Uttar Pradesh district official, a sub-divisional magistrate who permitted Godman Bhole Baba's satsang, has been suspended. The SDM, who neither inspected the venue nor informed his seniors according to the SIT report, is one of the 6 district officials, including a circle officer and a tehsildar, who have been removed from active duty.
But the big question still remains same. Why is Godman Bhole Baba not being probed? Why is his name not being part of the police FIR? Given report says that the stampede started when people bent forward to seek the Baba's blessing as he was leaving. Could one announcement by the government not have calmed things?
डीएमएसपी पे कार्रवाई हो, प्रशासनिक लोगों से सवाल जवाब हो और क्यों घटना घटी है, जिम्मेदार लोगों को जो इतनी बड़ी मौतों के जिम्मेदार हैं उनको बड़ी से बड़ी सजा मिले। लेकिन अगर योगी सरकार उनको बचाने की कोशिश करेगी तो निश्चित तौर पे ये समझा जाएगा ये सरकार का षड्यंत्र था, सरकार की साजिश थी आम जनमानस की जान लेने की।
कोई भी कानून से ऊपर नहीं है और जिसका भी नाम इस मामले में आएगा उसके खिलाफ कठोर कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
The SIT report is based on statements from 125 people, from eyewitnesses and survivors to police and district officials. In addition, news reports and photographs and video footage were also examined. In a parallel development, the Supreme Court today said it would hear a petition on the Hathras stampede that calls for a court-monitored probe.
हमारी मांग इस समय यह है कि एक्सपर्ट पैनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूट किया जाए, सुप्रीम कोर्ट की रिटायर्ड जस्टिस की अध्यक्षता में वह इन्वेस्टिगेशन करे एक्सपर्ट पैनल, साथ ही में गाइडलाइंस भी फ्रेम करें.
Godman Bhole Baba has only spoken once after the tragedy, saying he was with the families of the deceased. But the big question, will the Yogi government hold him accountable? With Ranveer Singh, Bureau Report, NDTV.
And Prime Minister Modi held bilateral talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on the final day of his visit to Russia. Prime Minister Modi made his most direct appeal to Russia to end the Ukraine war. Commenting a day after an attack on the Kyiv Children's Hospital, the Prime Minister said, "It's heart-wrenching to see children die."
युद्ध हो, संघर्ष हो, आतंकवादी हमले हो, मानवता में विश्वास करने वाला हर व्यक्ति जब जानहानि होती है तब बहुत पीड़ित होता है, लेकिन उसमें भी जब मासूम बच्चों की कत्ल होती है, मासूम बच्चों को मरते हुए देखते हैं, तब हृदय छलनी हो जाता है और वो दर्द बहुत भयानक होता है। ऐसे से एक मित्र के नाते मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि हमारी भावी पीढ़ी के उज्जवल भविष्य के लिए शांति सर्वाधिक आवश्यक है, लेकिन मैं ये भी जानता हूं कि युद्ध के मैदान में समाधान संभव नहीं होते। बम, बंदूक और गोलियों के बीच समाधान और शांति वार्ताएं सफल नहीं होती हैं और हमने वार्ता के माध्यम से ही शांति के रास्ते अपनाने होंगे।
While we do not have the precise indication of the specific numbers, we expect or anticipate them to be roughly between 35 to 50, a total number of Indian nationals, out of which 10 Indian nationals we have managed to bring them back to India. Prime Minister raised this issue very strongly, that we should try and get back all Indian nationals back to India as early as possible. The two systems will work on it and see how exactly and how expeditiously we can get them back into the country.
This is a message that the Prime Minister wants to give out to the world, that the country, that India is capable of balancing what is right for the country, at the same time what really is right for humanity. So I think this is a very strong message that comes straight from the Prime Minister's, Prime Minister's visit here, and I think that is the most important thing, because he has clearly said that the loss of innocence is something that the world needs to be talking about. He, in fact, he said this just a day after Russia escalated the war against Ukraine, bombing a children's hospital. In fact, he also, talked about this, in fact, without really mentioning what really happened. But at the same time, he did say that solutions do not emerge from the battlefields. This is a consistent position that India has taken in the course of the last 2 years since the war has begun. In fact, not really condemning Russia, but at the same time not really supporting its actions, but always insisting on democracy, dialogue, and of course, more of dialogue, always. So clearly this is a reiteration of that message, and consistency has been maintained. But other thing that the Prime Minister did talk about was, of course, the expediting of the early release of Indian soldiers who have been trapped into this network of fake jobs. Remember, there's a CBI inquiry that's going on in the country to understand how this recruitment is going on. Several Indians have been pushed into military front, into the war front of Russia against Ukraine. But of course, they've been put into the conflict zone by, while they were promised that they would be actually support staff. So this is something that India has raised. The Prime Minister has raised this personally, and in fact Russia would be taking steps. In fact, both teams will be working together, is what Vinay Kavatra said today. India would also be expanding its trade basket. In fact, both countries have set a target of $100 billion to ensure that the imbalance between trade, exports and imports does not really become too big for India to handle. In fact, the Prime Minister has specifically emphasized emphasized on fertilizer security because it concerns farmers. But like you said, the most important highlight is, of course, the Prime Minister not shying away from talking about the most important thing that the world is worried about, and that is the Ukraine-Russia war. This is the biggest conventional war that the world has seen since the Second World War. So it would have been really extremely tragic if the Prime Minister hadn't talked about it. But of course the Prime Minister talked about it, and his choice of words are very important because he talked about children. And in fact, coincidentally, only yesterday Vladimir Putin talked about children. In fact, he said that 23 million children are born in India every year because families are optimistic about prospects of the country. In fact, Russia is celebrating the land of family, the year of family, and for Prime Minister to talk about the right of life and also the fact that children need to be valued and lives need to be valued in the context of both Russia and his own citizens, those trapped, in this military war front, shows that war is looming over this bilateral meeting. It is, of course, over now, and he has proceeded to Austria, and he is going to be the first Prime Minister in 41 years to visit Austria. But clearly, the larger messaging out there is that India is not afraid of talking about the war that the world is worried about. It may not take the sides that perhaps the West wants it to, but it does use its words carefully, which means that under Modi 3.0, foreign policy is going to be far more nuanced. It really shows that India is going to play the balancing act with a lot of tact.
Time now for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. Ramesh Chanda, BJP MP from Karnataka, has levied a big charge on his party. He says that he was ignored for being a Dalit, and despite being a 7-time MP, there was no cabinet berth for him. He in fact asked, have the Dalits not supported the BJP?
ಮಂತ್ರಿಕಿದು ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರೋದು ಜನರದು. ಆದರೆ ಜನ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವಾಪಸ್ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಳಿ ಅಂತ ಉಳಿದ್ರು. ನಾವು ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆವು ನಿಮಗೆ ದಲಿತರು ವಿರೋಧಿ ಅದ, ಈ ಪಕ್ಷ ಸೇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಭಾಳ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ದಲಿತರು ನನ್ನ ಜೋಡಿ ವಾದ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಆದ ನನ್ನ ಸಲುವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಜನರ ಒತ್ತಡ ಮಾತ್ರ ಆದ. ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಎಂಥ ಅನ್ಯಾಯನೋ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಹೇಳ್ರಿ. ಒಬ್ಬ ದಲಿತ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಇಡೀ ಸೌತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಾಗ, ದಕ್ಷಿಣ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬನೇ ಗೆದ್ದು ಬಂದ 7 ಚುನಾವಣೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ದಲಿತನಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಪರ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ನವ್ರು ಆದ್ರಪ್ಪ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವರೇನು ಈ ದಲಿತರೇನು ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟೇ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನನಗಂತೂ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ನೋವಾದಪ್ಪ, ಇಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಹೇಳಬಲ್ಲೆ.
And 5 Shabets were injured after slipping during bringing down the deity from the Rath. A Shabet, remember, is somebody who serves and sustains the deity in the capacity of a manager of the departed property. Remember, on the 7th of July, a devotee had reportedly died of suffocation while several others were injured after a stampede-like situation during the pulling of the chariot ceremony during the famed Jagannath Rath Yatra. And news now from Uttarakhand. Chamoli Badrinath National Highway near Joshimath was blocked in the morning due to a small amount of debris. As soon as the work of removing the debris started, a large part of the mountain broke and fell on the road. Hundreds of people and vehicles got stuck on both sides of the road. The work of removing debris from the road is going on continuously. Police and administration teams are continuously on the spot. This route is likely to open by midnight. At a time when a private hospital doctor has been arrested for being part of a kidney racket in the national capital, we bring you this story from Guntur in Andhra Pradesh, where people are being exploited by a criminal network of organ sellers.
31-year-old auto driver from Guntur, Madhu Babu, says indebtedness had pushed him to agree to sell one of his kidneys for 30 lakh rupees. But he was cheated and paid only 50,000 rupees.
అడ్రస్లు మొత్తం మార్చారు. వాళ్ళ స్వగ్రామంకి ఫ్యామిలీ ఫ్రెండ్ కింద పెట్టి వాళ్ళకి అనుకూలంగా అన్ని ప్రూఫ్స్, వీడియోస్, మేము ఫ్యామిలీ ఫ్రెండే ఇక్కడే ఉంటున్నాము వాళ్ళ ఊర్లోనే అని చెప్పేసి తీసుకొని లాస్ట్ మంత్ 15వ తారీఖున ఆపరేషన్ చేసి తీసుకున్నారు. అమౌంట్ అడిగితే ఇవ్వట్లేదు.
After multiple tests and creation of fake documents to show that he was not unrelated to the recipient, the surgery was reportedly conducted at a super specialty hospital in Vijayawada.
మేము అతనికి చేసింది త్రూ అప్రూవల్, గవర్నమెంట్ అప్రూవల్ నుంచి ఉచితంగా ఆరోగ్యశ్రీలో మేము సర్జరీ చేశాము. ఇదిగో మీకు ఈ కాపీ కూడా చూపిస్తున్నాను. లీగల్గా ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ యాక్ట్ ప్రకారం రిజిస్టర్ అయ్యి మనకు ఆథరైజ్డ్గా వచ్చిన లెటర్ తర్వాతే మేము సర్జరీ చేస్తాము. ఇటువంటి దాంట్లో మనకి ఎటువంటి ప్రమేయం ఉండదు, డాక్టర్ గారు అసలు ఇన్వాల్వ్మెంట్ ఏముండదు. అంతా అప్రూవల్ అయినాక మనం సర్జరీ చేస్తాం.
After Madhu Babu complained to the Public Grievance Redressal Cell, the police now intend to register a case and probe deeper into this criminal network of human organ sellers.
In India, at any time, about 2 lakh people are awaiting a kidney, but hardly 6,000 kidney transplants take place every year, which means there's a huge mismatch between demand and supply. Every few years, we have been reporting on a kidney sale racket in the Guntur-Palnadu region, and the victims have been farmers who grow either cotton or chilies. This time, it's an auto driver trapped by loan apps. With inputs from Guntur and camera person Nagraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
And Team India has a new head coach. Gautam Gambhir has become India's head coach. The BCCI chief, Jay Shahi, welcomed Gautam Gambhir as India's coach. Remember, Gautam Gambhir has a 3.5-year contract. He will be the head coach in all the formats. Jay Shahi, in fact, posted on X and said that Gambhir is an ideal person to steer Indian cricket. In fact, Gautam Gambhir, he is a winner of the 2 World Cups, and Gambhir will take charge from the upcoming away series against Sri Lanka, which starts on July the 27th. Time for a very short break. More on the other side.